President Cyril Ramaphosa will face his first vote of no confidence next week. The motion was brought by the African Transformation Movement. The party says Ramaphosa failed to disclose to Parliament that he benefited financially from his presidential campaign in 2017. Speaker Thandi Modise agreed to hold the debate on Thursday. The ATM submitted this motion in Feb, but all parliamentary matters have been delayed, of course, due to the lockdown. A two-thirds majority is required to pass such a motion. Let's get analysis on that story. I'm joined by Sanusha Naidu from the Institute for Global Dialogue. Sanusha, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. So, of course, this debate happens next week, the first motion of no confidence against Cyril Ramaphosa. What do you reckon?
Good afternoon, Shahan. Yeah, I think it's all part of the way in which things have been unfolding. I mean, you got the public protector contesting the report, contesting the judgment at the Constitutional Court. You're still getting the CR-17 question coming back into the fold. And the ATM now putting out a kind of list of 15 reasons as to why this motion of no confidence needs to go forward. And the Speaker of the House saying, yes, okay, fine, let's have this debate, let's discuss it. It seems to me that, again, I'm not sure whether anything substantive will come out of this unless it's just an exercise in getting through the motions, mind the pun, of going through these debates. Whether or not the ATM can, as you rightly point out, garner a two-thirds majority to carry this motion forward will be very interesting. And at this point, it looks very unlikely whether or not they'll be able to do so given their own presence in the parliament. I'm not sure if they have 1 or 2 seats, but that's where it is now, and then bringing other political parties on board. I mean, unless the EFF decides, yeah, there's something here, we can find some traction in. But if you look at the list of the reasons as well, it's quite a big washing list of things. Things that expand from, the campaign around his political funding with regard to the Nazareth conference and the elective conference, to the fact that under his watch, unemployment has skyrocketed, to the fact that he hasn't managed the borders well with illegal foreigners coming in. I mean, it's just a kind of massive list of things.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the ATM party has 2 members in Parliament. But as you say, they could garner some support in this motion from other opposition parties. The reality, though, of them succeeding are very slim. But let's talk about the overall image that this puts President Cyril Ramaphosa in, because that's basically what it boils down to, right? This is purely politics. Yeah.
Purely politics. And what's so interesting is that it comes at a time when he's fighting many fires. So, the thing for me is that, is it really, do they realistically, does the ATM realistically believe in the motion they brought forward? Or do they believe that this is another way in which to damage his reputation? So the reputational risk, I think, and the way that reputational risk will unfold in terms of what is the current trust deficit around the president. Because, he's the president, he's the head of the state, he's in charge of this republic, and so the buck stops with him. So everything that goes wrong in this country starts with President Ramaphosa not fixing this country. His new dawn is not working. So I think the strategic ambit of this motion of no confidence has less to do with them thinking that they'll get what they want out of it, because I don't think they hopefully realistically they don't think they're going to actually achieve what they want with this motion. But it's another kind of stake in the reputational dynamic of the president. And of course, remember, Shihan, we're coming into some really hectic territorial issues with regard to provincial politics in the ANC, the question of what's happening with regard to run-up to local government elections, and of course, not far off is 2022, another elective conference.
Yeah, that's all very important things to look out for, especially given the factions within the ANC itself, Sanusha. So let's talk then about the overall popularity and what this does for the president among citizens of South Africa. We saw a slight dip in some surveys given the handling of COVID-19, the economy, etc. Does this have any impact at all or not?
I think, generally speaking, Shahan, when people think of the ANC, I don't think they understand that there are fragmented politics that underpin this organization. But I think when they see the ANC, they also see just the head of the ANC, and that in this case is the president. So obviously, to break up or to disaggregate the correlation, are you actually having a trust deficit, or you don't really like this political organization per se, or is it because you don't like the president? Are you separating those two dynamics? And I think very often we don't do that. We don't necessarily, or I assume, let's not make this a generalization. My assumption is that we don't do that. We'd actually look at the head of the party and we say, hang on, this is not going anywhere. So I think come this next election, this is going to be a big test of Cyril Ramaphosa again, in terms of whether he's going to carry the party with the brand of his politics, his popularity, and the question of the trust issue, in terms of whether the trust is actually a trust deficit in the party, or is it that trust deficit that's now swaying and swerving into Cyril Ramaphosa's lane.
All right, thank you so much for the insight. Appreciate it. Sanusha Naidu from the Institute for Global Dialogue.